Hello YouTube, I thought I'd do a quick vlog and do a video response to Suffolk Andy's daughter Amy and do the second set of 5 questions that Amy came up with. So here we go, so question number 1. If you could go back in history and could talk to anyone you wished, who would that be? Now I had a really good think about that one, and I thought about someone that has a bit of a connection to Derbyshire, which is where I lived, and that's a lady called Florence Nightingale. Now, for those of you who don't know, Florence Nightingale was pretty much instrumental with setting up the beginning of what we call modern day nursing, and she actually spent much of her childhood in Derbyshire as well as Hampshire, and in those days, I mean, nursing wasn't one of those careers that was encouraged, certainly for someone of Florence's standing. I mean, she was from quite a wealthy family, and I know her father was dead against it. But she was famous for kind of setting up a voluntary kind of hospital in the Crimea War, and was responsible for making sure that the soldiers that were injured in that war were much cared for. So yeah, that's who I'd like to meet, and basically thank her really for what she's kind of the legacy that she's created. I mean, almost all of us, I'm sure, have been in hospital and been cared for by a nurse. So yeah, got a lot to thank Florence for. Question number 2, if you could choose one type of bike, what would it be? Would it either be a cruiser, a sports bike, or a dual sport? I don't know, I think for me personally, I think I'd probably choose a dual sport, simply because it'd probably be a bit more versatile than either a cruiser or a sports bike. And you know, I do like the touring, and I think it would be great fun to sort of go off-road and do a bit of off-roading, and I think you could probably do that on a dual sports bike. So yeah, that's the kind of bike I would choose if I could only ever have one type of bike. Question number 3, who is your favourite motorcycle racer? Well, I will be honest, I'm not very good at knowing who motorcycle racers are. I don't generally watch racing on the TV at all, but if it was to pick one, I think I would have to pick Guy Martin, simply because I just think he's so straight, so down to earth. I love his character, he makes me laugh, he's got that never say die attitude, and you know, I think he'd be the kind of person if I was ever to meet in real life, I think I'd become really good friends with him, you know, if that was possible. So yeah, that's who I'd like to pick for that question, and that's Guy Martin. Question number 4. Question number 4. Question number 4. If you only ever had one ride left in your life, where would you ride? Well, I think that's quite an easy question to answer really. I don't think I'd pick a location as such. I think what I'd like to pick, I'd gather together all my vlogger friends and family, and I'd just go on a ride with them if it was going to be my very last ride for whatever reason. Say I had a terminal illness and I haven't much time left, rather than go somewhere exotic which would be time consuming, I'd actually like to spend my final ride with the people that I really love and get on with. So yeah, that's what I would do. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. And finally, question number 5, what is the worst job you've ever done? I wouldn't say it was a worst job, but I would say one of my most boring jobs I've ever done in my life is I used to work many years ago for the local electricity company, and I was only a temp at the time, and the job that I got given to do was to listen to the kind of the answer machine messages of all the customers that had left all their meter readings, and I did that day in, day out for at least 2 years, possibly 3 years, and it was the most boring, soul-destroying job ever, because I might one day get to the end of those messages and clear it all, but I guarantee the next day there was more and more messages to listen to and download and input those readings. So yeah, I think that for me would be my worst job that I've ever done in my life. So there you go guys, they're my 5 questions that hopefully Amy will be satisfied with the answers to. So as always, ride safe, and I'll catch you next time. So I think I'm going to try and get myself away from Skeggy Cruiser, use their look, and